Hi, Kathy Sweeney from Botanica. We are here with Marlene, who's been working very hard on restoring all of the horses for the Joyland Carousel. So Marlene, you want to introduce yourself?
I'm Marlene Irvin, and I'm the owner and operator of Custom Carving and Restoration. In this project, I was a friend of Marty's wife, and I was at a school reunion, and I happened to bring my portfolio and was showing people, because people say, what have you been doing the last 20 years? And so I brought it and showed people, and that was probably 5 years before the Nelsons donated the Carousel to Botanica. And I guess Marty and Cindy were talking about, well, what are we going to do and how are we going to do it? And she said, I know just the girl. And so that's really how I got involved. It was from just a school function 5 years prior that she remembered. Born and raised in Wichita, Kansas. I went to McCormick School and then Lawrence School, Mayberry and West High. Been here my whole life and spent many summers out at Joyland and the report card days, and I went to work at Chance Manufacturing, and they had their yearly picnics out there at Joyland, and so I spent a lot of time out there, both as an adult and as a kid. Well, I got a job at Chance Manufacturing, which is the largest amusement ride company, or it was at the time, in the world. And I started out at the very bottom, working in the horse shop, laying these up when they were made out of fiberglass, putting them together and sanding them and putting them together. And I eventually moved into the decorative art department. And so then I got the horses already put together, but I got to make them pretty. They're all a little bit different depending on the damage, the wood damage, and the repair work, but they've been averaging between 150 to 200 hours.
Wow, on each horse. And how many horses are there on the carousel?
36.
So you've been working hard on this for many years.
That's why it's taken 3 years. Well, when Marty and I first talked, he told me about the donation by the Nelsons. I said, well, he's wanted to make it a pivotal point in the gardens. He said, but he says, I want wow. He says, and I want it to be botanical. And so I decided to use botanical theme, natural colors. There's not any metallic colors or anything like that. Use botanical colors and botanical theme. And he has the butterfly house, so I incorporated butterflies. And I had one person tell me one time, well, don't make all of them girly. And so I said, well, no, there's going to be some more boyish horses, and I've got one that has frogs and lizards.
Perfect.
And you know, not that boys can't like flowers and butterflies too, but I've got some that are a little bit more rough and tumble. The most consistent problem I found was there was rot, dry rot, and missing wood underneath the belly plate. And the belly plate is this pole that allows the pole that goes through the carousel horse. And what happened is that while it was out being used, you know, they were wintered in a building, but when they had them functional, if it rained, rain blew in there. If it was humid or damp, water would condense on the poles, and they would run down the poles and they would run inside. And so actually the damage was from the inside out, and that had a big congregation of dry rot, sometimes out to 1.5 inches around the belly plate that had to be repaired. That was the most. And then outside of that, there was cracks. There were some seams where the glue had degenerated and had to be re-glued. But for their age, they were in a pretty good condition, but they did have some problems. No, when I have other clients, it depends on the client. Some of them will call me and they'll say, well, a leg broke off. Can you just repair the leg? And I do repairs like that. And some of them will send me horses and they'll say, when I bought this, they said it was in good condition. They just had it restored, but I don't like the paint job. So all you need to do is paint it. And I get it. Well, paint can hide a multitude of sins. And I'd take some of the paint off and I'd find damage. I've had horses that have laid out on the floor in over 100 pieces after I took them apart. None of these were in this condition on these horses, but I mean, it just depends. That's why I do pictures on all of the stuff I do, because you're looking at this and it looks pretty and you love it, I hope. But there's no way that I couldn't tell you I just didn't take the horses from the storage area and put the new paint on there. Unless I showed you a picture of it before, during, and after. And if I tell you I did a bunch of work around the pole hole, I'll have pictures of the work I did on the pole hole. And if you look at my Facebook page, sometimes when I've had a rough day and the paint won't stick and I've had to pick it off, I've got pictures on there picking it back off. And so it's a long drawn out procedure. It takes several different techniques, but the main thing it needs is patience. I'll probably shed some tears. There's no way you can spend this amount of time on an iconic thing that I sat on this horse when I was a kid. I know I've ridden on every one of these horses. And for it to go full circle and you spend this kind of time, I'll feel like a mother watching her kids. And I'm sure there'll be some tears shed because it took 3 years of my life, but it shows a whole history of not only my history as a child and an adult, but Wichita's history.